back for more. Part 3 of destroying my brain. I'm loving every minute of it. Part 3. So we got 10 minutes, 11 minutes through this painful shit. But, I mean, obviously Pauline Hanson getting a lot of media attention lately, so we need to keep covering it. And obviously I'm screaming into the void, so this is just for my pleasure and benefit. 3, 2, 1. Probably need to unmute this, don't I?
I think there's a lot of AI things around at the moment where they show this nostalgic image of what Australia once was. You go to, it's not Australian, but Video Easy and these type of places back in the 90s when I was born in 1993. And when you go out, you'd go to Video Easy and you'd go down to your local fish and chip shop, wherever that happens to be, and you'd watch your movie.
1993. Okay. In the late 2010s. So he could have easily been a child when Video Easy was still up and running.
Or you'd get your PlayStation game, those type of things. Pokemon was a thing, all that type of stuff. People are very nostalgic because I feel like they miss a lot. They miss a time where things were more relaxed. And it's not just youth. It seems to be the country
I missed
itself.
when I was here. I grew up about 5 k's down the road from here.
Really?
Yeah, so at Wollongabba.
I mean, would people miss what being young? This is like a very well studied phenomena, and it's called getting old. Like, it's always been this way. Like, it just means you're projecting your feelings and experience on everyone, and everyone that's older looks back at their youth and wishes they were young again. Ooh. Okay.
Yep.
So that's home for me at the Gabba.
Yeah, right.
And so anyway, I see the change that's happened. The Story Bridge was all here when I was growing up. Remember it quite well. But, the country's changed so much that I am nostalgic for what happened, in the past. I could actually go to, at 14 years of age, I'd get on a tram and I'd actually go over and play softball. No parents with me. My parents were working at the time. So at that age, go to the matches. I'd go to the basketball on a night at the...
You felt safe?
Yeah, of course. Could travel anywhere.
We were in Brisbane today and with my son, he's 3.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of... Okay. I feel like there's probably a lot of kids that can travel around at that age and actually are safe, and there's a safeness. I think people are just more exposed to the potential evils of the world, and parents are instilling this idea of, or living with this idea of, okay, bad things can happen. Because what was it, Daniel Morecambe or whatever on the news, like some kid waiting for the bus just gets picked up randomly. Like, these things don't happen very often, but if it happens to your kid, then it's like the biggest fucking problem. Like, then your whole world collapses. And I think people are doing a different risk assessment or a risk calculation. Like, child kidnapping. Wish there was a nice handy little chart that I could just look at, but nope. Ooh, government charts, please, please. Oh, here we go. So it's, oh, it doesn't give us shit. It's only from 2005. I like this as an idea. Child kidnapping. I wonder what we're gonna get. $45-year file. Well, we need something. Anything. Like this doesn't even have 2005. Ay. This is going to be some dog shit AI, is it? Oh, here we go. Recent data. Australia, latest value. Okay, 2.0 kidnappings per 100,000. This is just Australia, 2008 to 2017. So this is, you know, in your Video Easy, prime time Video Easy era. Kidnappings went from 2.8 per 100,000 to 3 to 2.8. So they've been steadily decreasing since 2011 to 2017. So I don't like the facts. Facts aren't facting, right? Like, I think there's a mismatch between how they're perceiving the world in terms of safeness, so they're projecting onto the society as a whole. There's a feeling of nostalgia, right? Things were better when you were a kid because you didn't understand the world as much. The world was simpler and safer when you were a child because you didn't actually fucking understand anything. And so now you see it through an adult's lens and you project onto the world all these fears that you didn't have as a child. It's called growing up. Holy fuck.
My wife and her mum, and we didn't feel safe on this because there's so many, like, and you know, obviously people are in horrible situations, but so many homeless people, so many people who look like they're, you know, engaging in illicit substances, all these type of things, and we didn't feel safe. We felt similar to how we felt in LA a couple of months ago, and that's what I worry about with cities.
But this is Brisbane. This is Melbourne.
I know.
You probably wouldn't set foot in Melbourne.
Well, I'm not really welcome in Melbourne. I've been cancelled too many times to go to Melbourne. Yeah. I don't think we could go to Melbourne.
I think
Has Isaac Butterfield been cancelled? Probably, right? But what does cancelled even mean? Like, are he talking about someone wrote a mean thing about me once? Or, you know, lashed intentionally offensive for intention. So he's been lashed for making offensive jokes. But what does cancelled even mean? Like, I don't cancel 5 times. This is going to be some self-promotion dog shit.
Changed their opinion about me. I think they're all screaming for me to go down to Melbourne now.
You get to the outer suburbs They are so sick of this. What's his name? Adam Band, who used to be the leader of the Greens. I was where we were staying when I was doing the comedy festival a couple of years ago. He was.
Excuse me? Cancelled but doing the comedy festival? That doesn't sound like cancelled to me.
Running, and you see signs up everywhere in front of people's houses. I was like, imagine the conversation having.
They're creating straw men in their own mind, battling phantoms of cancellation, and then stepping through gilded doors into a comedy festival to perform. Like, it doesn't sound like cancelled to me.
To actually talk to these people, and that's the person they want to represent them. But yeah, Melbourne is years ago. He was running, and you see signs up everywhere in front of people's houses. I was like, imagine the conversation having to actually talk to these people, and that's the person they want to represent them. But yeah, Melbourne is a strange.
So no, this is a criticism of Adam Band. Say what you want about the Greens, but let's listen to this criticism of Adam Band.
I think we could go to Melbourne.
I think they've changed their opinion about me. I think they're all screaming for me to go down to Melbourne now.
You get to the outer suburbs. They are so sick of this. What's his name? Adam Band, who used to be the leader of the Greens. I was where we were staying when I was doing the comedy festival a couple of years ago. He was running, and you see signs up everywhere in front of people's houses. I was like, imagine the conversation having to actually talk to these people, and that's the person they want to represent them.
Like, this whole interview to this point has been projection. Like, buddy, we feel the same way. Imagine the conversations that you're having. Like, I'm listening to this conversation. I'm watching the conversations that you're having, and there's literally nothing of substance being said. There is 100% anecdote, sophistry, and just blowing smoke up each other's asses about, gosh, things were better when I was a kid, and, you know, my wife has like this feeling and anecdote about, you know, people that she talks to, and it's not the same anymore, and it's these women and feminists are a problem, and, you know, or potentially universities are bad because people are getting educated there and having these opinions because, you know, they're getting radicalized by you know, left-wing extremist lecturers, and like, what is this fantasy world? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm living in the real world, because you just mentioned this thing about, it used to be so much safer when I was a kid. I could catch the tram. This is Pauline. Catch the tram down to play netball or softball, whatever the fuck it was. I mean, and then I look up statistics, and immediately it shows a decrease in the rates of child kidnap. Oh, sorry, I think it was kidnapping in Australia. Decreasing over time. I mean, that's statistically getting safer for that situation where you're a child, and the fear for the parent would be that you're going to get kidnapped. I bet if I looked at all the other crime statistics, it would show that Australia is actually becoming safer as well, right? So there's a fantasy world that they're creating in their minds that is not borne out by statistical data at all whatsoever. So, what the fuck is this? Like, how can you? This is not politics. This is just having a whinge with your mate around how you're feeling and your feels.
But yeah, Melbourne is a strange place. It's but you watch it fall apart too. Like, you look at places like the UK, all these places that lean into the left wing, they fall apart. San Francisco falls apart, and that's what's. And people say, "Oh, you're being ridiculous. So that's not going to happen yet."
Holy shit! Since when the fuck is the UK left wing. It's been like under control of the Tories for the most of the last 100 years, hasn't it? And San Francisco falling apart. It's not because of left-wing ideologies, and falling apart's a fucking stretch because it's one of the most desirable cities in the United States. The reason it's tough there is because so many fucking people want to live there, and all the best paying jobs, well, a lot of the best paying jobs are there outside of New York. Like, there's a reason why it's so desirable, and it's because of progressive ideas and ideologies, left-wing ideas and ideologies. And I think, when you talk to people about culture in Australia, everyone holds up Melbourne as, okay, it's a bastion of art and culture in Australia. And fuck, what kind of art and culture is coming out of Brisbane? Fuck all. Fish and chip shop ladies.
That will absolutely happen here. It's only getting worse unless something is done about it.
Escalating crime. That's an impact of it.
Queensland, particularly.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that at least the Premier has done something. Like he's...
Okay, escalating crime in Queensland. Fucking bullshit. Idiots. All offences since 2001. Homicide down, trending downwards. Homicide is trending downwards. Other homicide trending downwards. Assault. Whew. What's happening there? My guess will be some form of domestic violence. Have they split out domestic violence as a separate assault category? Breach domestic. Yeah, okay. So, assault, this uptick. It's funny, this, as you notice this. So if I look at assault and then I look at breach domestic violence protection order, it's crazy how they're trending upwards together, right? Right? So domestic violence increasing, sexual offences increasing, robbery, yeah, slightly increasing. Other against the person, so crime, other crimes. Unlawful entry, down. Arson, steady. Other property damage, steady. Unlawful use of a motor vehicle, oh, it's starting to come back up, but that'll be matched with the robbery stats, right? Other theft, slight increasing trend. Fraud, too much noise to really tell. Handling stolen goods, fairly steady. Other offences, okay, let's have a look. Drug offences, up, trending up for sure. Prostitution, way down. That's interesting. Liquor, okay, drunkenness, down. Geez, it really peaked in 2009, holy shit. Gaming, so illegal gambling, fuck all. Breach domestic violence, it's getting crazy out there. Trespassing and vagrancy is up. Okay, so I guess there's an increase in homelessness. Weapons up. Good order. Not sure that is stock related offences. 2008. Woohoo! Traffic and related traffic is pretty steady. That's interesting. Miscellaneous. Up, whatever the fuck miscellaneous is. Interesting. Okay, North Brisbane. Can I just do Brisbane? So when we're talking about these, so we've got to keep in mind, Pauline Hanson grew up in Brisbane. I don't know where this other guy grew up, but it's been trending upwards since 2010. All offences. Murder rate down. Homicide down. Assault way up. Okay. Sexual offences way up. Robbery in Brisbane. I mean, it's trending downwards since 2001, but trending up since 2015, and other offences against people. Unlawful entry down. So all these break-in break-in stuff they talk about in Brisbane, it's actually less than 2001. Arson down. Property damage down. Motor vehicle problems up. Fraud, theft, excluding unlawful, okay, handling stolen goods, righto, drugs, a little bit everywhere, domestic violence, whoa, way up, holy shit. There's clearly December, August, December, August. There's clearly a mixed bag, right? But a lot of what I see is happening is there's a lot of domestic violence leading to assault, sexual offences, and that kind of shit. So there's definitely a problem in society, but I don't know if it's just going to be these. I think Christopher Foley was targeting the youth gangs, but I don't believe it's the youth gangs. I believe it is adult men doing nasty business against women.
Trying to lock people up.
Well, a lot of these kids they're sending to detention, not detention centres, but similar. So they're not really going to
like boys' homes, that type of thing.
Yeah, they're not really going to prison. But the crime rate has come down. I'll give them credit for that. It has. We need to be dealing with this in classrooms. And the problem is that the teachers can't handle it. The authority of the teachers has been taken off them to discipline the kids in the classroom. And we've got the last standing of, most countries around the world on how we deal with our kids in the classroom. There's not enough discipline and the teachers can't handle it.
You could say the same about the police too.
That's right.
They can't do anything. What are they going to do?
That's right. And that starts with our laws, our legislation being brought in. I blame the court system as well, that they're not dealt with accordingly for the crime committed, and they've just slapped on the wrist and set loose, and these kids that go out there, they're untouchable, become untouchable.
And they know that, and that's why they do it.
Yep.
I've never understood that, and I guess it comes to my upbringing, why you would do those type of things. But I guess as a young dude, you feel untouchable, then you work out that you're untouchable, and then you the more and more evidence that comes into your brain that you're untouchable, and you just do your thing. You do whatever you want to do for that high of doing something that's illegal.
Yeah, youth crime is a tricky one. Like, there definitely needs to be obviously some punishment, because two reasons. Obviously the deterrent factor is good, but also there's a part of the sense of justice for the community is a sense of punishment dealt out onto the perpetrator, right? Like, can't just be like, there has to be some I don't want to say some kind of pain, physical, not physical like torture, but like there has to be a negative, a down, some kind of, they used to talk, say, back thousands of years ago, was it Hammurabi was like the eye for an eye. You know, there's a transfer of energy that occurs where someone's done me wrong, something wrong should be done to them. Now we try to live in a more humane and understanding society where, you know, it's not literally an eye for an eye anymore. There is a chance for rehabilitation and all that sort of stuff, but you can punish too harshly too, right? If you go too far down the maximal punishment route, then you guarantee that this person will be a criminal for life. 100%. I don't know shit about I haven't done any criminology study or psychological study into youth crime, so I have no idea what the solution is. But I doubt these people haven't done any fucking study. I doubt they understand what the real fucking solution is going to be.
I think it's important to talk about something that I speak about a lot, and that is toxic masculinity. That idea that men and boys are inherently toxic and there's nothing you can do about it. This is something that's being fed into young men at schools, young boys as kindergarten kids, alongside Welcome to...
What? When the fuck did that happen? I've not seen that in any school. Young men and boys are inherently toxic. And this idea of toxic masculinity isn't... What? I just don't think these people actually even know what the fuck words mean. And how it's being used in the vernacular. They're setting it up as this like... Wikipedia, let's go. Toxic masculinity is a concept used in academic and media discussions to refer to those aspects of hegemonic masculinity that are socially destructive, such as misogyny, homophobia, and violent domination. These traits are considered toxic due in part to their promotion of violence, including sexual assault and domestic violence. Socialization of boys sometimes also normalizes violence, such as in the saying, "Boys will be boys," about bullying and aggression. Yes, this is true. And we can see it borne out in the statistics of breach domestic violence protection order. Crazy how that works. So there is certainly traits that we would call toxic masculinity, right? And there's this idea that I think a lot of what people would call the red pill movement is that toxic masculinity of that, this domineering culture, this like hegemonic masculinity, exactly like that men need to be the dominator of the house, making all the decisions for women. Women should stay at home and not have the vote and all this kind of stuff. That would be toxic to our society because it would break the fairness of our society. Like these concepts of people using toxic masculinity in this respect, that this Isaac guy is talking about, it's very much an American ultra-left idea that was pushed by the Republican Party and potentially was in use during peak woke for a little while there. But fuck me, man, no one understands it to be this in 2020. When was this? 2026, 2 months ago. This is dinosaur brain, mate. You're living 10 years ago. You need to get with the times.
The countries, and alongside gender theory, there is this. For some reason, these kids are being indoctrinated into learning that they are the problem. And I see that as something that is only going to harm young men as they get older.
Yes, well, the kids aren't the problem, it's the parents, right? It's what parents are teaching them is the boundaries of their right and wrong activities, right? Like, I don't know what you guys feel, about children. But if you're out and about and you just see kids absolutely disrespecting a public space, like throwing balls around, the balls are hitting people, not caring, not paying attention to their surroundings, bumping into everyone, or making extremely loud noises, being incredibly disruptive, absolutely having total disregard for their fellow humans, and zero chastise from their parents. Not a peep, not a word. They're just like, oh, poor little nuts, little Billy, he's really funny. But boys, they're such a handful. Boys, oh my god, boys, they're such a handful. Boys are such a handful. Jeez, boys are wild. Boys are a handful. Motherfucker, you're supposed to be teaching and training them that there's a limit to their physicality. There's a limit to what they should and shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't just be hand waving it with this fucking, oh, boys are a handful. Fuck that. This is where this sense of entitlement and of it comes from, like, young children, and then that problem solving of, oh well, I'll just do what I want. Like, no one's going to stop me, or I'm I have a right to do it. I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want because it's a free country. This is me. I'm doing my thing. Blah 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 blah. Blah. I can be any way I want. But like, oh god, it's not the kids. It's the fucking parents.
Older.
Totally right.
I worry. As I said, I've got a son who will be in school in a couple of years if I don't find out a way to homeschool him. But what do we?
Please homeschool your child. Please homeschool your child.
How do we fix that? What can we do? Is it fixable?
I think it is, but you just put a stop to it, so you don't allow that to happen. All these
you just put a stop to it. You just stop culture. Yeah, you just police thoughts. You police thought and idea, and you ban books, and you ban universities, and you just put a stop to it.
Advertising that they do on billboards and on the TV that men must take responsibility for their actions, that type of thing. And this has all come through domestic violence, that they're accusing men of mainly the domestic violence. The stats say 25% of domestic violence is attributed to women.
Okay.
Women are more inclined to actually murder their children than the stats that we've have been able to collect. So,
is that true? Whew. Well, good old. Okay, so the claim is 25% of domestic violence is done by women. So let's do a gender breakdown first. Here we go. $2.3 million women and 693,000 men have experienced physical sexual violence with an intimate partner. Significantly higher proportion of women than men experience IPV overall, 48% compared with, so this is, what is IPV, guys? So many acronyms and all this stuff. Intimate partner violence. One in 4 women, 1 in 14 men. So women experience more severe forms of physical violence, such as being choked and the use or threatened use of a knife, gun, or other weapon. Holy shit. That's nice, eh? Super cool. Emotional abuse. So even women are also experiencing more emotional abuse. Comic, how do physical and sexual overlap with other forms of abuse? Jesus Christ. What are the risk factors? Has it changed over time? Proportion of women. Okay, what's the proportion? Okay, in Australia, female offenders account for approximately 22% of recorded family and domestic violence offenders. I mean, still so far and above out, disproportionately represented by men. Which is crazy. So I think she said 25% of the perpetrators are women. Seeing 22% from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. So not far off. Proportion of... Oh yeah, we looked at who was the victims. Right, so women were predominantly the victims as well. So it was like 2.7 million. But still like 80% of women, right? Intimate partner violence, so 2.3. Okay, so 2.3. 2.3 divided by, and what's that, roughly 3 million people. So 76% of the victims are women too, right? So women are 22% of the offenders, but they make up 76% of the victims. Jesus Christ.
It's wrongly placed and blaming men, and a lot of the children in stats. The stats that we've domestic violence. The stats say 25% of domestic violence is attributed to women.
Okay.
Women are more inclined to actually murder the children in stats. The stats that we have been able to collect. So it's wrongly placed and blaming men, and there'd be a lot more domestic violence by women if it was reported. Men don't tend to report it as much. I think.
Look, potentially, but I think it shows that I don't think that's because the outcomes are very different between male perpetrated domestic violence and female perpetrated domestic violence, right? So she's talking about an extreme circumstance where women are killing their children. But I think just overall, the level and quantity of violence perpetrated by men is probably more significant, and so it gets caught more because people are having to go to the hospital and shit, right? It feels like the male domestic violence is such a big proportion, violence against women, that it's probably a good low-hanging fruit starting point, right? Like, shouldn't we just start somewhere and like keep tackling the problems and keep working towards better outcomes? Jesus, it's like, they're looking for this. They're just looking for any excuse not to do anything.
Men are being, in a lot of cases, the victims. And what I'd like to do with domestic violence is put it in categories, from the mildest up to the extreme in domestic violence. And the judges look at that and they say, okay, this is mild. Okay, they've texted, I want to see my child. I want to see my child. That's not extreme domestic violence. It's someone who's actually getting, belted around, beaten up.
Yeah.
And I think we need to take an approach with this, because our police, about 75% of their time is dealt with domestic violence. They've got to drop everything else to go to domestic violence. It could be just an argument that someone's having. And it's a shame our society's got to that. Yes, we've got to protect those ones out there that are vulnerable and could attribute to domestic violence. But, families will have their ups and downs. And I think, our society's gone where a lot of people are facing depression, a lot of hardships, a lot of stress. It's all, grown so much over the years that it's happened. But you're right about men and boys, and I am very protective of men and boys, because I've had my father, my uncles, my cousins, three of my sons, and guess what? Domestic violence wasn't never around. And I will not stand back and see men and young boys persecuted because they're males and thinking they are always the bad people. They're not. You deal with the person, the individual that is the wrong person here, whether it be male or female.
I don't think.
I mean, judges and court systems already deal with perpetrators proportionally. That's why there's various outcomes when it comes to sentencing. Right? Oh my god! I don't know. This is mind melting. So the solution. So she's like, the solution is she wants to. Because this is a claim. This is a way that she's going to solve it, right? So let's.
It's all, grown so much over the years that it's happened. But you're right about men and boys, and I am very protective of men and boys.
Okay, let me see if I can try and find the solution here, because at the moment I think all she said is her solution is she wants like tiered punishments, or tiered punishments for different levels of offence, which I'm pretty sure already exist. But doesn't this just feed back into this crime? Like, these are crimes we're talking about, domestic violence, and doesn't this feed back into their crime argument they were having before, where it's like, oh Jesus, they're not tough enough on these criminals, and all these young kids, all these young boys that are under 8, all these young guys that are just getting a slap on the wrist. There's no punishment, no deterrent. They're just getting it. They know they can get away with it. Well, fuck me. Shouldn't we apply that same logic to domestic violence then? Shouldn't we ramp up the punishment for low tier offences so that it prevents them from getting to the high tier offences? Like, there's no sound logic here. Like, it's incongruent with what you were just talking about 2 minutes ago. The punishment should be severely increased, right? If that's going to work on youth crime, then it should work on domestic violence, right? Fuck them. If you're texting someone and harassing someone over text, fuck it, put them in jail. Fuck them. That's a deterrence, right? See how it goes.
as much. I think men are being, in a lot of cases, the victims. And what I'd like to do with domestic violence is
okay, here we go. This is policy prescription. This is what she wants to do. This is going to be the answer to all of our prayers.
put it in categories, from the mildest up to the extreme in domestic violence. And the judges look at that and they say, okay, this is mild. Okay, they text, I want to see my child. I want to see my child. That's not extreme domestic violence. It's someone who's actually getting, belted around, beaten up.
Yeah.
And I think we need to take an approach with this.
Okay, so that's one option is sentencing guidelines. Holy fuck! Is that it? Is that all? Because I'm pretty sure that already exists.
Beaten up.
Yeah.
And I think we need to take an approach with this because our police, about 75% of their time is dealt.
Okay, so that's literally it. That's literally her only solution. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sentencing. What does domestic violence as an aggravating factor mean? So they've even got a whole document that explains what domestic violence is and how it's an aggravating factor for sentencing. My god. Oh, that's the UK. No, we don't care about. I'm looking at Queensland because they're Queensland based. Domestic violence as an aggravating factor, increased maximum penalties for contrary to domestic violence orders. This is sentencing domestic violence. So this is a recent executive summary. Following the Special Task Force's Not Now, Not Ever report, Parliament increased the maximum penalties for the events of CDBO from 2 to 3 years, 3 to 5. Then they've got some trending aggravating factor. Gosh, I'm guessing there's a whole bunch of interesting information in this report that would probably help them understand what the fuck they're talking about. Right? What is it? 27 pages. 27. Oh, but wait. It says marginalization. Human rights. These are trigger words, right? The right wing can't handle it. This means it's already a dog shit report, right? This is for the right wing. If it's got marginalization, marginalized groups as words, as key, as searchable terms anywhere in a document, it's gone woke. It's super woke, unfortunately. So it has to be thrown in the bin. It can't be used at all. Straight to the bin. Totally binned. Oh well. Better luck next time sentencing Queensland.
With domestic violence, they've got to drop everything else to go to a domestic violence. Could be just an argument that someone's having.
Sorry, so now she's talking about, so she's completely pivoted from giving a solution to the domestic violence issue. She's now talking about how it sucks that the police have to manage it all. That's crazy. It's almost like you need to fucking get it when kids are young. And you need to actually teach children and train people in society what is the right way to, how you need to live together and how you should be treating people fairly. Crazy. It's the kind of shit that, the ABC would historically do, or SBS with children's shows and things like that, or, teaching boys in school about emotions and having parents understand what emotions are.
And it's a shame our society's got to that. Yes, we've got to protect those ones out there that are vulnerable and could attribute to domestic violence. But, families will have their ups and downs. And I think, our society's gone where a lot of people are facing depression, a lot of hardships, a lot of stress. It's all, grown so much over the years that it's happened. But you're right about men and boys. And I am very protective of men and boys because I've had my father, my uncles, my cousins, three of my sons, and guess what? Domestic violence wasn't never around. And I will not stand back and see men and young boys persecuted because they're males and thinking they are always the bad people. They're not. You deal with the person, the individual that is the wrong person here, whether it be male or female.
This is just obviously the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, as a politician, you're not dealing necessarily with individuals. You have to deal with broad aggregate data. And you have to understand your role in society of how you steer the ship, right? How are you going to steer the ship? So if there's a broad trend, as we saw, fuck, why did I even close this? Some Criffin stats. Where was this before? Here we go. Sexual offences, assault, breach domestic violence order. This tells me something is not quite right. This cannot be right. This cannot be. Something's happening here, right? Like, what the fuck is this? This is not normal shit.
I don't think a lot of women have that approach, and when I say women, I shouldn't say just women, but I don't think a lot of women have that approach until they have sons, and then they go, hang on a second, this isn't the enemy. And I'm talking about women like today who grow up, they go to university and they learn these things, they learn that men are the problem, but then they have a son, and they go, this is just a little baby that I'm moulding. And obviously, I think domestic violence, a lot of it comes down to, and like with any crime, comes down to parenting and what they're allowed to get away with and how they learn and the environment they're in. And in saying that, there's a lot of people that grow up in terrible households that become wonderful people. So, maybe it's something else as well.
The government has enabled a lot to encourage domestic violence, so these women can go out there and claim domestic violence, and then the husband's thrown out of the house. They're given $5,000 resettlement if they're out of the house. A lot of this has been encouraged by these activist groups, the feminist organisations that have supported these women. I'm not against supporting women. I went through domestic violence myself, but it hasn't made me bitter. I try to be fair and just right across the board for everyone and stop pigeonholing people.
Holy fuck, is this like the pure definition of a pick me? this is insane. Surely this is what it is, right? Like, I guess, it always comes down to what's a life worth, right? Is it, fuck these women, right? If I can save a few dollars, right? Is that her argument? Is that what she's saying? It costs too much. Like, the safety net, sure, maybe some people will abuse it, but the safety net's there to save people, and if you save one life, what's that worth? Right? Like, clearly there is a price tag for it for a government, right? Because we all have a healthcare budget, etc. Oh, fuck. Like, this is something that you need. Like, women aren't through the worst of it, right? Women are nowhere near through the worst of this transition into a fair and equal society for men and women. They need support. They need a leg up until we can get pushed through this struggling transition time. Like, it's only been, like, all these people, they'll look back nostalgically. Oh, dad went to work and mom stayed at home, and that was their parents' generation, right? This is like, well, fuck me, like, what's her face? Pauline Hanson. She is a baby boomer. But this other bloke, his parents were probably Pauline Hanson's age, right? So baby boomers and before, like, there were a lot of stay-at-home parents, well, in Australia at least. That's 70 years, 60, 70 years ago. That's like blink of an eye in terms of cultural evolution. Like, this is nothing. But we should be working towards making it better. And, fuck it. If women need a leg up somehow, we should pay for it. Because in the long run, as a society, it'll be so beneficial. It'll pay dividends, right? A much more productive workforce if all genders are equal.
Whether they're male or whether they're female, this type of thing. Deal it on an individual case, which is totally different. Don't use domestic violence to actually deny the father, mainly the father, and it does happen with him in time, the right to spend time and see their children. I am so opposed to that.
This is not a right, it's a privilege. If you are any parent, if you are an actual parent and you have children and you care about them, having a child is not a right, it's a privilege. Like, it should be a golden opportunity and a heartwarming thing inside you that is a gift and not something that you just are owed because you can jizz inside someone. Doesn't mean you're owed shit. What a fucking selfish way to look at the world. That your child is a possession that you have a right to. Now, mechanically, you need to have a right to your child, well, a possession right to your child in order to raise it. But if you've demonstrated that you're fucking incapable or damaging to this child, you can relinquish those rights. Because we as a society have realized that you can break children and you can demonstrate that you're not trustworthy to be spending time around this family because you're going to abuse them. This is like, anyway, I'm gonna wrap this shit up, but this feels like so many classic is this actually the right wing in Australia? Are there people in Australia? Oh, obviously this fuckwit does, and this other fuckwit does, but this feels like so much weird. Maybe I was being unfamiliar with the right wing in Australia. Admittedly, I consume a lot of American stuff for a very long time, and this little hour or two I do a week is my way of trying to dip my toe into understanding what is happening in Australian political culture. But it's all this, like, this is all shit that I don't think I've ever heard anyone say in earnest in my real everyday life. But it also goes to show that politicians and these pundits, or whatever the fuck this guy is, this comedian, no one's talking factually. Although, okay, Pauline Hanson obviously trying to use statistics in her favour there, but retardedly, 25% of women are abusers. Yeah, that means 75% of abusers are men. That means there's an overwhelmingly represented majority of men doing the deed, so to speak. Anyway, I will torture myself until I complete this video, because this is a good introduction into the mush-riddled mind of right-wing Australia. This is two people. This is Pauline Hanson and a sycophant gassing each other up. So it's a perfect storm to understand what are every single bullshit talking point, and then we can expect to hear them repeated ad infinitum without any real solutions. And I look forward to it. Adios. Good night. Farewell.